What comes to mind when you hear the word depression? Are there any typical symptoms you think of? When we think of depression, feelings of sadness, hopelessness, and a loss of pleasure are commonly attributed to it. What you may not know is that depression has several other signs that are less talked about. To better understand some of these lesser-known signs, let's take a look at 7 signs of depression you haven't heard of. Before we begin, please note that this is for informative purposes only. It's not intended to diagnose or treat any condition. If you're struggling, please reach out to a healthcare provider or mental health professional for help. Number 1, you experience unexpected aches and pains. Do you think of depression as emotionally and mentally painful only? Did you know it can actually manifest itself physically as well? People with depression often report various aches and pains, mostly in the back and neck area, although stomach pains and headaches are possible as well. According to research, depression interferes with the body's inflammatory response, causing these various ailments. Number 2, you are forgetful. Are you having difficulty recalling everyday details? Do events seem to be overlapping with each other lately? Depression affects your memories in drastic ways. People, especially with more severe forms, may have difficulties with short-term memory as well. You may struggle with concentration and brain fog. You can also experience difficulty in recalling life events and mix up certain events with others as memories blend together. These issues may even occur after treatment. 3, you have increased vision problems. Does it seem like the world looks hazier than it should? Is the world around you more monochrome than colored lately? A particular study from the University of Freiburg showed that depressed patients have increased difficulties with contrast perception. Patients with depression have a harder time differentiating black from white. In turn, this leads to a grayer, hazier-looking environment. This is due to the dramatically lower retinal activity that depressed patients tend to have. The severity of this appears to be related to the severity of the depression. Number 4, you sleep too much or too little. How's your sleep schedule been lately? Do you find yourself sleeping way too much, or maybe not at all? Depression can bring serious changes to your sleep schedule. A proper sleep schedule directly impacts our ability to function, so having issues with this leads to problems in other areas. Sleeping too much or too little can cause fatigue throughout the day. That's right, sleeping too much can make you feel tired. According to a study, some people tend to struggle more with sleep apnea within their depression, which can impact their ability to achieve the proper amount of REM sleep. Number 5, you have reduced sexual desire. With depression, it's possible to lose your libido. The increased fatigue, pain, and general loss of pleasure can take a toll on this sensitive area, making you less interested. Instances of reduced sexual desire are usually temporary, meaning they can come and go, depending on your current situation. However, seeking medical advice if this is long-term and doesn't improve with treatment is important, as it can be a sign of hormonal issues. Number 6, you have increased risk and symptoms of other conditions. Do you feel the symptoms of your diagnosed conditioning worsening? Having depression can worsen symptoms of diagnosed conditions as well as increase your risk for other conditions. With stress hormones interfering with your body's ability to heal itself, symptoms of other physical conditions may increase. Since the immune system is impacted, you may be more susceptible to infection. In other cases, having depression can increase your risk of developing other conditions down the road. Such issues include arthritis, heart problems, and strokes, among many others. And number 7, you experience digestive problems. Did you know depression can negatively impact your digestion too? As mentioned before, depression can cause you to have unexplained aches and pains. Part of this includes stomach cramps and bloating. This all, again, relates back to the body's inflammatory response. However, digestive problems can go beyond pain and may include bathroom problems. It's possible to have increased irregularity and, in some cases, instances of diarrhea. Eating well and taking probiotics may offer some benefit, but treating the underlying depression itself can help tremendously. While we tend to think of depression as something that affects our emotions, research has shown that this is not always the case. Depression not only affects us emotionally, but in some cases physically as well. But you don't have to fight it all on your own. Don't be afraid to ask for help, nor let the stigmas attached deter you. No matter how bad it gets, there's always hope that things can get better. It's important to reach out if you're struggling. Getting in contact with the right mental health professional can be a great first step to getting your life back on track. Just like physical health, you have to maintain it by taking care of your body with exercise and eating the right food, and going to the doctor when you're injured or ill. With mental health, you also have to take daily action to be healthy. And when things are stressful, I have to take extra care to manage my mental health. So, for example, when I was in grad school, or when I'm pregnant or postpartum, and right now, when we as a global community are fighting a pandemic, we all have to take a little extra care of our mental health. What I'm going to talk about today is more about maintaining mental health than it is about getting out of the deepest pit of depression. When you're deep in a depressive episode, it can be really hard to see any light. It feels like you're at the bottom of a pit and can't imagine what it feels like to be out of it. At that place, often all you can do is tiny steps and hopefully get some help to get out of there. So don't allow yourself to get overwhelmed by my routine. Just choose one little thing to start with, and then take the next step when you can. Number 1, morning routine. So the first thing I do every day is getting on my knees and praying. I express gratitude for the day and for my life and the opportunity I have to do good in the world. And that connection with God, for me, helps me feel loved and purposeful through my day. If you're not religious, you could do some meditation or a breathing exercise here. I try not to look at my phone first thing in the morning, because I want to start my day intentionally, the way I want it to be. If I open social media, I'm letting others choose what I take in, and that could be positive, negative, stressful, uplifting, or critical. And so I just choose to start my day with some quiet time. I do a little reading, and then I write out my goals and priorities for the day. And right now, with all the news that's frightening, I choose to listen to the news around lunchtime, once a day, so that I don't get constantly stressed out and have time to process it during my waking hours. And speaking of waking hours, let's talk about sleep for a minute. I have 3 kids, 5 and under, so I usually wake up before them to get some quiet time to set my intention for the day. My natural wake-up time is around 5 a.m. I don't usually set an alarm, but to wake up then, I often go to bed between 9 to 10 p.m. I'm not fighting my natural biorhythms. I just listen to my body, and this is the schedule that works best for me personally. For many people, they might have different sleep needs or a different schedule. Sleep is super important to managing depression. There's a massive correlation between sleep problems and depression. Lack of sleep can cause depression, and getting good sleep can actually let your brain heal from depression. So I really value my sleep. I have old friends who nicknamed me 905 because I often go to bed at that time, and I miss out on some fun for sure. But it's what keeps me healthy, so it's worth it for me. For each person, your sleep needs are different, but getting enough sleep can really make a big difference. One study found that 87% of people with depression who resolved their insomnia significantly decreased their depression symptoms. Number 2, get dressed and showered. Okay, so after waking up refreshed and taking quiet time to pray, study, and set my intentions for the day, I make sure to get showered and dressed. I found that this can be really hard when you're depressed, but being clean and dressed helps me feel more energetic and gets rid of my excuses. I mean, if I have yesterday's makeup all over my face and I'm wearing PJs, it makes it hard for me to want to go out and see friends or be social or get things done. So just get dressed for the day. Then I take my multivitamins, and if I remember, I take my omega-3 supplements. And nutrition is an important part of my routine as well. I try to eat a lot of plants and not too much sugar or processed foods, but I'm not going to go into that too much right now. Number 3, exercise. The other essential part of my mental health maintenance is exercise. There's so much research that proves that exercise is great for mental health. It helps clear brain fog, and it helps reduce stress chemicals in your brain. I feel like when I exercise, it just works through a backlog of pent-up emotions, and I can feel my body relax. I think it also helps me deal with anger and frustration, and I just like it. I know a lot of people exercise in the morning, but for me, back when I worked full-time, I used to always go climbing or for a hike or run after work. That's when I needed it the most, and it was hard for me to get motivated in the morning, but by afternoon, I was looking forward to it. Now that I'm a full-time mom, I have to be more creative in how I get my exercise in. I often just work out in the yard, gardening, digging in the dirt, and running around the yard with my wheelbarrow. Or I'll do some yoga on TV, or go for a walk with my kids, or pull them behind my bike. Now that we're stuck in our homes with the coronavirus pandemic, I'm doing more inside workouts. I like the 7-minute workouts on my phone, or the Fitness Marshal on YouTube. Number 4, nature time. This takes me back to another aspect of my mental health routine that is really important for me. Outside time. I need nature. I need to see the sky and soak in some sun. I'm fortunate to live in a beautiful place, and I take advantage of that by getting outside. There is some research showing that sunshine and nature and being outside changes our physiology. It slows our heart rate and decreases stress chemicals and stuff. But regardless of the research, I can just feel the difference for me. If you can't get outside, open your windows, sit on your porch, or if you can't do any of that, then you could spend some time looking at beautiful landscape photography or a nature film. Your brain has the ability to bring to mind the feelings of nature just by imagining it. Number 5. My evening routine. My evening routine looks like getting my kids to bed and then taking some quiet time for myself. I usually take a hot bath and read a book or an archaeology journal. I'm kind of nerdy, but that's what I like. Even though I have very few hours to work on my passion project, these videos, I don't usually work in the evenings because it would just stress me out a little and I need the downtime to stay healthy. So then before bed, I write in my journal. I often take the time to write about my wins and accomplishments of the day so that I can remember them, because it's my natural habit to dwell on my mistakes and shortcomings. So I write about my wins, and then I pray a prayer of gratitude and talk with my Heavenly Father about my day. Again, gratitude practice is an essential habit of mental health, and it's been shown to be an effective treatment for depression. So you can pray about it like me, express gratitude as a family, which we do at dinner time, or write about it, whatever works for you. And then I go to bed. I try not to spend too much time looking at screens before bed, but if I do, I choose some calming documentary or a mudlarking channel, like Nicola White's. If you don't know what mudlarking is, it's just finding historical bits of treasures on Thames in London. Anyways, I find it relaxing. I encourage people not to be on TV because it's just not super great for your brain. But if you do, choose a short and calming show. Lastly, other self-care. For me, that includes scheduling in some time for my hobby. I have tons of hobbies, but because I'm so busy with kids, I really don't have time to do most of them. But I make sure to carve out about 2 hours a week to do at least one of them. Right now, that's metal detecting, which is something fun and relaxing for me. I put it on the calendar so that I make sure it happens. I also take the Sabbath off. No work, no housework. I don't check my work email. I let my brain completely focus on other things. Mostly my family, which is also exhausting, but it's a day that is different from the others. And I make sure to have social time as well. Having social interactions is really essential for mental health. Our brains are inherently social. We are social creatures. So right now, this is going to be an extra challenge with the coronavirus. I'm taking the time to call up old friends. I have some groups I'm hanging out with on Zoom, and when we're not on lockdown, I meet up with friends to let the kids play or to go out to lunch or whatever. So, to give you insight into the different telltale signs of depression. What do you think about the matter? Are there any more signs that you can think of? Let us know in the comments. If you found this video helpful, be sure to hit the like button and share it with someone who needs to hear this. Subscribe and hit the notification bell icon to get notified whenever Psych2Go posts a new video. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you real soon.